There we go. All right,
Boom.
we're here. Welcome to Ask Aries, the special edition of Ask Aries, because we've had some stuff go down today that needs addressing.
And you
so,
have a
first,
guest.
so first and foremost, I'd like to thank my guest, someone who was very vocal in many a messenger,
Yeah, I
Aaron
was pissed
Cantu.
today.
Uh, yeah, it went
Not pissed,
from
but I was pissy, I'll say.
uh, a lot of heat. A lot of heat. I was getting a lot of heat for the topic at hand. Today we're covering Pj Bolin's question of is Heroclix a pay to win game? But before we jump into that, we've got some hot off the presses stuff. There's been some band maps. I'll let Aaron jump into that and take the lead on it, as he knows a lot more about it than I do.
Yeah, so today Wizkids announced, well, they didn't announce anything. It just got updated on the
They just
list.
dropped the hammer.
Yeah, saying that there would be a change to the modern age map list. Basically, cargo plane, which is the Speakeasy, the opposite side of Speakeasy from the Deadpool and the X-Force set, the release OP map, and then the new National Air map that is a rock premium map. Those two maps are going to be no longer modern legal.
Banhammer.
Banhammer. It's like super. So that stems from there was a question about how does with the new first turn immunity and starting area expansion and what else is it, the colossals, so like, and then the open air. So basically you place all your colossals down and then whatever's left goes on the map. And then but the way that the maps begin to expand is, I think, on the columns, right? You expand the column first,
You
like
expand it widthwise, basically, yeah.
widthwise, yeah. So that would place you in the open air and a lot of those maps, or in both of those maps a lot of the time. And so then you would keep doing that and placing characters over and over, and they can potentially be KO'd. So there was just a big question about, how does that affect the, first turn immunity and all that stuff. And I know some places had basically ruled that it was like, yeah, that's just how it works. But there's contradictory rulings like previously about like endless loops and things like that. So basically, WizKids decided, instead of just fixing these issues, first turn immunity and whatever else, they're just going to get rid of those two maps from the modern list. Now, from a company standpoint and like corporate type world, it makes sense because it's the easiest thing to do, right? It's just like, oh,
It's just it's the knee jerk reaction, though. It's
yeah,
not even well thought out. I beg WizKids to at least go back and watch list them at least, and hear out some of the players or some people inside the organization that know the game a little more and come to a better conclusion than just banning it. I can see if you want to ban your own map that is paper and doesn't really cost much, okay, fine, ban that one. But people who spent $30 on a map that you
plus
guys said
shipping.
was good to go, it's $30, not including the shipping, which across the country is different for everyone. I know you bought in bulk just so you can get discounts on the shipping. And then one of the maps that you bought ends up getting banned without even the consideration. Now, I get it. It's a knee-jerk reaction, just ban the map. But people, it's not good for business. What makes me want to go out and buy these rock maps now, which you're now paired with? What makes me want to go out and buy them when I could spend $40, $50 on a map? And then we find this weird little loophole, and now all of a sudden, just ban it. Well, that's going to make me not want to buy these special edition maps, these very expensive maps. because there is one type of a loophole that may or may not happen. Now,
Yeah, no,
go ahead.
I get it. So like to me, there seems to be like, okay, there were other solutions, right? Like you can
Many solutions.
fix first turn immunity. That needs to get addressed anyways because it's like kind of wonky with certain things. You could fix starting area expansion because that needs to get fixed. It's not very intuitive the way it works. I mean, for some people it is, but it's for
It makes
I would wager for the average player it's not.
it makes sense. You place your colossals figure first, and then you place your smaller figures. They dumbed it down the easiest way possible so that people okay, you go this way, and then if you have to, you go out. So I get the way they did it, and this happens to be the one loophole because of that.
Right.
This is where first turn immunity. I say if you're gonna play that many colossals, you take 1 damage and then you fit them inside the starting area.
Okay, yeah, you're getting ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me. So like,
yeah.
So what you could another way you could do it is you could say, and some maps, back in the day they were like they would have special orange text, but it would say not for tournament play. So you go, okay, not these aren't for tournament play. You can't, if you're playing casually, whatever, you can use the orange terrain as it is. Otherwise, it's clear terrain or whatever, and you can even note on the map if you wanted to. And that could be done similar to like an errata, right? An errata says, these maps are not for tournament play.
Yeah.
Easy enough. And then the last thing you could do is just say, like there's a spirit of the game rule, which they previously have had.
Yes.
With things like there was the Faust, Rick Jones infinite turn combo.
The infinite bystander turn or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you can say like, okay, well, we don't like infinite loops in this game. That's just not going to be allowed. The last option, in my opinion, is ban the maps. So it's like I know in the past I've said I'd rather have figures banned than changed, and this kind of goes against that. But like the problem is, like you said earlier, these maps cost money. It's not like I went on secondary market on eBay and bought a chase figure for $100 and it got watch listed.
That's different.
Yeah, that's different. This is you guys solicit gamermats.com. I bought from gamermats.com. I paid extra for shipping because I live further away from them than some other people. And now I bought it specifically because it was modern legal. Because
it was a cool map.
And it was a cool map, and I know Deadpool, X-Force is leaving, and things like that. I the only map I bought that is not modern legal is the Pac-Man Ultimate Sacrifice because I love Pac-Man. I'm a big Pac-Man fan, so
yes.
I had to have it. Otherwise, I only bought modern legal maps. So the fact that you're saying, okay, this is gonna be how it is, and then I paid my money to your company or your third party company, and now you just say no. Like that's a big,
Well, the problem is that they looked over the maps and they said these maps look good. These maps are fine. No problem with these maps. Oh, so okay, I understand it. Now, what we had was we had an issue that happened at Worlds that has now spawned this big. We see these Avengers teams because maps are becoming more and more prevalent to win. So now we're seeing these huge Avengers teams with a multitude of colossals, the whale team, so on and so forth. So they had to make a ruling on that. They had to make a ruling on how are we going to expand it. And now, because of their ruling of expanding the starting zones, now we've created this issue with 2 maps. So it isn't like that this was a huge problem to begin with. It wasn't. Right. This is a man-made, a man-created issue by Wizkids and a ruling that they've made. So now what do? Instead of maybe, I don't know, hit the watch list, hey, don't play these maps right now. Give us some time to look it over. Let us think of a way to make it work. They instantly just say, nope, ban them, which is, it's bad form.
Yeah.
Watch, go,
And
please,
and
please
watch
go
this.
back and watch list
And the
that.
thing is, watch this is quarterly, and this is the end of the first quarter. So it actually is like the perfect time to do a watch list. So
Even
add
if
it to your watch list.
don't take a day, take a few days. Go back, reconsider, go back, look at this again and say, hey, we're putting it on hold. We heard you, we listened, we're putting it on hold. Give us a few days. Let us get you a better answer, because just outright banning, you want to ban the paper map, by all means, ban the paper map.
Mhm.
But think about your player base and think about all of those players that went to gamer mats who were super excited to see some of these rock maps become tournament legal for Wizkids Opens and Wizkids Play. Don't just ban it. Think of a better solution. Think of a, because it wasn't like there was a problem with the map to begin with. You made the problem with the map. Now let's fix that too, please.
It's yeah, it's the the thing is like, and it's almost like a bait and switch in that way, right? Like,
Yes.
and
Where it's like, the
I
map is
see,
good, and we made a
yeah,
decision, and now it's like, oh, the map is not good, so
and I see the
we
comments. So
just cut the map.
Emily says could be clear terrain until you move out of it and then reverts to what it's supposed to be. I agree. That's another good.
That's another one. They do
That
that on Battle
that could just be a
Royals.
ruling. Yeah.
Yes.
Jacob says, how is changing a map or banning a map different from WizKids or Rock? Banning a figure you've bought from WizKids. That kind of leads into your other topic. So we'll kind of like we'll
Oh, so
use that
you
last.
have the comments on yours?
Yeah, I see them.
All right, perfect. Because I can't see comments on mine. So, all right, awesome. As long as we're live and
Yeah,
people are interacting, beautiful. Thank
yeah,
you. That's what
yeah.
I want to do with this. So,
And then Jacob also says they do have a history of banning maps, right? So, but the difference is you never had to buy maps before.
yes, you would just show up and none of their neoprene maps are banned. None of the WizKids neoprene maps are banned as far
Right.
as I know. So none of their
No, they're
premium
not.
maps that you spend X amount of dollars on is banned. It's paper maps. It's maps like the dimensional map there, the Ace the Street map, because after they looked at it, they said, "Ooh, this is not good." And they
Mhm.
made a decision to ban them, and it's not costing you anything. They're sending you 5, 10, depending on what time frame they came out. They're sending you a bunch of them, so it's not like, you know what I mean. You're having to pay $50 for a map, for a gorgeous neoprene map. So something like that is a kick in the face a little bit,
Mhm.
especially with such, like I said, it's a knee jerk reaction. We have a problem. We need an instant solution. You don't really need an instant solution. You can take a week. Hey, we heard you. It's watch listed. Give us a week to decide on it. Get your think tank together and come up with a better solution. The solution you have right now, not a good one, especially for the one map. If you want to get rid of the paper map, I'm fine with that because it didn't cost some of these people 40 to 50 bucks. And I know that that might just be a drop in the bucket for some people, but for some people, it's not. For some people, that's a good chunk of money that they invested into a game. And it's because they enjoyed the map. So let them enjoy the map. Think of a better solution. And this is because of a situation that we've created as players, because we're playing a lot more Colossals. They had to make a ruling on that. So I mean, it's we're all guilty at some point for the situation we've created, but this, to be the knee jerk reaction, needs to be rethought of, and it needs to be relooked at.
And I think to that point too, there needs to be more like dissuasion to playing certain stuff. A lot of people complain about Colossals. I hate Colossals. They ruin the game for me. Yada, yada, yada. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, this is something that a player strategically can use
Yes,
as a counter to that play. Okay,
make
I hate
make them hurt,
Colossals.
make them take one damage or something. I get that, but you can't make an infinite loop to KO.
Well, I mean, and it's not even the Colossus taking the damage, so don't
No.
misunderstand me. It's the little players. So it's not like
Mhm.
you're knocking out all of the retaliators in one
No.
turn or anything like that. But it's like, you want to play your Avengers. You want to play a million giant girls? Like, okay, fine, you play a million giant girls. That's totally up to you. But it's like, if you're gonna do that, this is the potential consequence.
If you're gonna
If you
Colossal, make
somehow
sure
lose
it's
the
a
map.
theme team and you're winning map. Because
Mm,
if not, I have a counter for it. I have
yeah,
something that's gonna hurt you.
yeah,
So it's strategy. It's no different than someone winning. It's no different than someone winning map and playing the old Rock Underground map.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's going to be very strategically better for one team or the other.
And to answer the other part of your question, he asked how's Wizkids banning a map different than the Rock Bandit figure. So when the Rock Bandit figure previously, it was because the figures thought to be too overwhelmingly powerful or whatever, especially in a certain format. So
yes.
The difference is at that time, Rock and Wizkids were independent.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like basically Rock saying, well, we like your game, but we don't like this part, so we're not going to allow it. It's just like basically having another format other than 300 Modern. We're going to have 300 Modern Limited. Well, we're going to have 300 Modern with this ban list. It's not the same. And it's not, again, not a bait and switch. When you buy Heroclix figures, like you buy Faust, you bought Faust from the convention, okay? You paid $15 or whatever. They watch listed him. They didn't just outright ban him. They watch listed him, reviewed him.
I think.
Yeah, reviewed him. They're like, okay, well, we think these changes are good enough.
Yeah.
And then they came back out. And then we're like, well, retirement's coming. We're just going to put him on an early retirement.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't think anybody had a problem with that. But this national air map just came out in what, January?
It's a very new map. It's something that's only been out for, I think, 3 months. It's something that's only been legal for 3 months, I believe. We're live.
Yeah.
So it's only something that's been legal for 3 months. So people have only gotten a chance to play it for 3 months. I mean, this is also the same thing. Jakeem Thunder was watch listed twice as well. So it's just them trying to better the game. This didn't even get a chance to be watch listed. That's the big picture of things, is that they and I've heard from other sources that it wasn't just one person putting up a post recently. It's something that's been looked at, but it's something that's just being, from what I'm hearing, something that was just being talked about today.
This week.
And
this week. We'll say this week. It was like in the last week that it's really become a big deal. So that I know of.
That I know of as well.
So Jacob says, so could the argument be that since the map is only available to a limited number of players, by banning it, you prevent an unfair advantage? No.
It's not only available to a limited number of players. Anybody can go on gamermats.com and buy the map.
Yeah.
And it's not a
map that you win. It's a map that you buy. It's not the same as like I bought a prison tier map off the Ares one off of eBay for $80 or something like that. It's not the point.
No, but it was a map that was given the green light by Wizkids and by Rock, and it was available to the masses to be purchased through gamermats.com.
It really feels to me like a bait and switch type situation, which is what I have a problem with.
Bait and switch. It was the fact that there was no problem with the map. The problem, it came up when Worlds happened and we had the question about starting areas, and then they made a ruling on starting areas without looking over every legal map and being like, if we make this ruling, will it mess with any of the maps? They made it because it was a very simple way for people to understand how starting areas would be expanded. And then and again, this is where I talk about Heroclix players being smart. When people complain about having watch lists and ban lists and things like that, it's not because we're being punished, it's because we're smart. And this is one of those times where this is the case. We were too smart for our own good. We looked at it and saw that there is this advantage now. I can do this and play this map, and if I do it against a team that's mostly Colossals, I have an advantage. And they exploited it. And people didn't like it who played Colossal teams, and questions were asked. And finally, Wizkids just said, nope, just get rid of the maps. Which, again, I understand why they did it that way, but I'm asking for them to go back and to take a second look at it, please, and make sure this is the best thing for not only Wizkids, but for your community as well. You guys have been doing a really good job with watch listing things, with play testing, by putting out stuff that doesn't need to be watch listed 1,000 times. You guys have been doing a great job with that. This is one of those times where I think that you might want to look at a better solution than what you've put out there, because it seems like it's a lazy solution just to ban it and just say see you later, when you're hurting your player base and you're kind of hurting another entity as well with Gamer Match and with The Rock, which you have paired with, and now everything that they do is going to be, well, if we do it this way, will it potentially hurt Gamer Match? Will it hurt our reputation as building maps, and so on and so forth?
Right. Yeah, and then we're gonna close on this topic because you have your regular topic on hand, but just some commentary here in the chat. We have Losing It with Brian P. says they didn't ban WizKids Office when it made Skullship auto lose. It's an inconsistent ruling, which I think is a fair point.
It is.
And then Jacob Payne says everything WizKids does is inconsistent. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, but I can echo the sentiment behind it.
WizKids has been doing a better job than what they've been doing before that. And I can understand some people being upset over some quote-unquote inconsistencies, especially with the Shroud of Worlds looming over a lot of people and how that was handled. That was, and I was there. WizKids was put in a bad position, and they had to make decisions that were based upon the parameters of what they were given by the convention. So it wasn't an inconsistent ruling by WizKids. It was them doing the best that they could with the opportunities they were given by a convention hall. That being said, we haven't had a watch list in a very long time because they've been doing a pretty good job with the figures they've been putting out. They've been answering questions. They've apologized for certain rulings that they made that were wrong, like letting people use the map bonuses during Team Worlds this year. They apologized for that profusely, that was a bad play, and they corrected it, and they took ownership over it. So they're doing better than what they had before.
Yeah.
Is there room for improvement in any company? Absolutely. But I still think WizKids they're doing right by me. This one, I feel like they need to slow down, take another look at it, and say, all right, let's make a better decision, because it's going to affect a map that costs some people $1 or $2, So,
all right. So that being said, why don't you lead into your actual topic?
Let's do it. We got all that out of the way. Hopefully, somebody hears us and runs with this, so that can be looked at. But the real reason that I was here today, and I've got Aaron here, and me and him have gone back and forth about this today
all day
levels. So this is going to probably get hot. Is Heroclix a pay-to-win game?
This
My
is
opinion,
PJ's question.
Pj Bolin. Very simple question. Is Heroclix a pay-to-win game? No. In my opinion, it's not a pay-to-win game. Just for the fact that you still have battle strategy, you still have to roll dice. There are still many variables that go into playing Heroclix. Now, do you gain advantages by having certain figures on the map? Yes, but could you win with a team that's $200 compared to a team that's $1,000? Yes. My one comparison, my one thing that I will always go back on, and Aaron's going to laugh when I say this, we had a guy in the community for a hot minute from Atlanta, Derek Stringer. This guy wanted to blow your face off. He spent thousands of dollars on Heroclix because he was a Magic guy. And in my opinion, Magic the Gathering can be a pay-to-win game. So he thought the same thing. I can just go out there and buy the hottest figures, and I'm going to play and win. And the guy was not good. Because he realized, oh, you actually have to have battle strategy. You actually have to plan on doing certain things with this, and it didn't work for him. And then he got out of the game quickly, and no one has seen him since. Maybe he's back playing Magic. Your take on this, and we'll keep going on.
So yeah. Oh, I got a jet about to fly red. So I got to preface my answer a little bit. So the question is Heroclix a pay to win game? So I would say yes, but there's different degrees of it. So like
Yeah,
I can pay for the meta figures and I can dominate my local competitor, my local shops or whatever. And even to a degree, like Winner Maps, Wizkids opens. I mean, depending where you play too, right? So like in Jersey, you have Ed, Isaac, Kenji. There's a Abdul. There's a lot of really tough players in
absolutely.
one shop. So there's certain pockets like that. Like Michigan has George, Scott, things
Pacific
like that. So,
Northwest, you have all those guys out
yeah,
there,
Chip,
Chip
Jordan,
and all them.
and
Audrey,
Aubrey,
Sorry, Aubrey. Oh, Audrey.
Andrew PB. There's so like everybody has like every warehouse pockets of shops like that. So, but what I'll say is, I think after a certain level of event, you do need to sink money into the game in order to stay competitive in that event level. So like once you start getting to nationals and worlds, I think at those points you start you do have to spend a little bit of money to play competitively. Like there's certain like ID cards. There's so much that ID cards can do for your team that if you're not playing them, you're basically putting yourself at a disadvantage. And while ID cards themselves generally are not that expensive. Some are, but you can get like the bounty posters for Wolverine, but then you got to
Yeah.
pay $50 for a Wolverine, and things like
But
that.
again, that's all with the stock market. That's Heroclix. That also goes for you. I mean, it sort of is and sort of isn't. It all depends on your play style and things like that. And you can put a $1,000 army in my hands or your hands, and we can do great with it. We can put it in someone else's hands, and they can do bad with it. You put $1,000 deck from Magic into someone's hands who is okay. Say, I don't know.
My
You
hands,
and
I can play Magic.
Okay, so you and I could both go pick up $1,000 deck of cards right now, look over the deck and say, okay, I know how this works, and we could probably go out and win. While I could put my team in your hands, and you might be like, I have no idea how to play this, and you could just go 0-4.
It's
So
possible.
there's a difference. There's a different degree, in my opinion, of. And again, people are going to say you're comparing apples to oranges when you're comparing card
I
games
think you are.
to miniature games, but it's still competitive. And there's still different levels of competitiveness. Like, we don't have a pro tour with Heroclix. The closest thing you're going to get to pro tours is you're going to get like the big Wizkids opens in certain areas. You're going to get the regionals, nationals, worlds. With Magic the Gathering, like you pointed out earlier, you can go down to like your local gaming store on a Friday night Magic, and you can wreck house with $100, red deck. But that's also a different level compared to like their pro tour.
But I disagree. I disagree because
How?
so like my Wizkids Open that I ran earlier this month had 15 players only. So like that's an okay turnout. Don't get me wrong. But to me, that's on the same level as like a PPTQ that there are run here in my city that have about 100 players or 60 players, and there are players that go with budget decks and do well. And so to me, those are on the same level. And a PBTQ is not that far away from joining the Pro Tour. So I think like if you're going to say, okay, if you're going to make this comparison, you need to equate what different levels are you want to talk about. So now if you're talking about worlds, like in Magic, yeah, you're probably not going to go to worlds and play a budget red deck and do well. You could with a lot of draw luck, but you're probably not. But you're also probably not going to go to Worlds and HeroClix and do well without spending some money on some ID cards or a Retaliator or two. Like you could go with the Sinister Syndicate theme team and rock your Docs and who are about $10-15 maybe, and an overdrive and hey, your dice could just be not loaded literally, but like they can be hot, and you can Yeah, and things could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Is it likely? No, it's not. So to a degree, yes, Heroclix is pay to win. But I don't see a problem with that. I don't see the problem with if you want to win, paying a little bit of money to have the tools to do so.
But it's not pay to win in the sense that you're going to win. There's also skill involved in Heroclix. You can put, I could sit down across from someone and they could have a team that's $1,000 more than mine, and I could still outplay them because there is a certain level of play. And even I had a conversation with my fiance, even a certain level of psychology to this game where it's almost like poker, where you can outplay someone just by body language and by your mannerisms, and you can make them make mistakes. And really, I mean, the only thing that you can really get screwed in Magic is by getting mana screwed or by just playing cards incorrectly. And if that's the case, like if you're a good Magic player, you're not making those mistakes.
There's decision making in Magic. People don't realize that.
Do I play this card this time? Do I play this card this time? Things like that. I get that. But it's not sometimes you're not playing in Heroclix, you're playing. I'm looking at things 2 and 3 turns in advance. In Magic, you're just looking at maybe 1 or 2, and hopefully you're drawing into one thing or another thing. And usually usually you have your deck set up to where you're already going to draw into almost exactly what you need. And then you can either counter. You have 2 different things. You're going to either go on the offensive or you're going to counter with it. And you're set up to win both ways.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to do much.
We have some comments here that I'll read. So first, Jacob Payne says, can't win Team Worlds unless you pay to win. Okay, that's not really what we're talking about. That's sealed.
I was going to say, yeah, you have to pay because you have to buy boosters. But then you could have the best boost. You could have the best teams. You could pull the best teams in sealed and still lose to people who pull quote unquote trash because they just outplay you.
Yeah, it's not the same though as showing up to 300.
Sealed is a whole different thing than playing constructed and so on and so forth. It's the same thing with playing Magic Sealed. It's a whole different ballgame.
Jessica Tate says, shout out to all those 500-point donating Unimind players.
But again, Unimind, very budget worthy. You're not having to, I mean, Unimind's a $25, $30 figure. You run a couple different things with it. Maybe it's a $400 team, while others are playing something that's maybe $900.
Yeah. So also, like, an important part of this question is like, what do you consider pay to win? Like, what's the breaking point dollar-wise?
I would say probably if you're pushing $700, $800, and $900 for a team, now you're pushing a lot of money forward to try to win, and that might not even be your best bet. Kent Munson, his World's team was legit. He played Super Friends, which people were like, all right, that's not the best team in the world, but he did really good with it. But it's a very expensive team too when you think about it, because all those Super Friends are like 40 or 50. He had 2 Apache Chiefs. That's $100. He had 2 Green Lanterns. Is another $100. So I mean, he played again though. Again, also speaking of like actual figures, if you think of some of the most expensive figures right now in Heroclix, they're not quote unquote meta worthy. The Flash God of Death is not being played in meta. He wins a couple events here and there because people aren't ready for him, but isn't meta. You look at figures like the Black Lantern Flash, super expensive, didn't get played meta. Red Lantern Supergirl Prime, super expensive, didn't get played in meta. So a lot of these figures are just figures that are collectible because people want them. We create the price points of these things in the secondary market.
Sure. So I agree with you for the most part to that, but there's still some things. But we've got a lot of comments here, so I'm just
go rip through them. Let's go.
Losing it with Brian P says, "Give me $1,000 team, and I bet I roll 5 crit misses." Jacob Payne says, "Skills important, sure, but you give the best 300 points of Molades and the worst player of vet icons soups, and the best player gonna lose." So, I mean, yeah, that's probably true. But War of Light's crazy, pay to win. You can, but that's again, that's sealed. That's not. You can also win in poker by bullying the pot, and I think that's a relevant thing.
Again,
So,
that's one of those things that I talked about. It's psychology. Is
mhm.
if you can make your opponent do things just by talking. If I am looking at what I'm doing and and it's not illegal for you to do this. I can look at my team and say, okay, I want to do this, this, and this. If I do this, he has or she has this, this, and this, and they could possibly, if you just talk out and you talk and they hear you knowing that this is what they can do next turn and they were planning on it, they might say, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't do that. And it might sway what they want to do and they may question. And then you might talk out, well, if they do that the next turn after that, I can do this and that. And all you're doing is pointing out exactly what's on the map. And it might make them second guess what they want to do.
It could.
So there is there, and I mentioned this in a Battle Royale at Worlds.
Are,
There
are
is
you
psychology.
doing that? Are you doing that and also playing the cheap figures? Like, are you playing like? So this was a topic in the Pacific Northwest group where somebody says that they're like, I challenge anybody to win with only CUR stuff, a competitive event, no super rares, no chases, no LEs. So like, how many people do you think took him up on that offer?
I mean,
None.
honestly, probably not many. No.
None. And so the problem is the way WizKids designs their game currently, and this started about 2015 or 2016, somewhere around there. Nick Fury, Agents of Shield. So
Yes.
they design it where the lower rarity figures will have less complex dials, and then the higher rarity figures will have more complex dials. They did this by design, and it was a way to supposedly to simplify the game, right? So
I would say when they changed the car design, I would say is probably when they started to do that the most.
no, this was announced at a we. So I was at Origins, and or Origins or Gen Con. We were at dinner. I think it was Origins. We were at dinner, and actually Scott D'Agostino and Justin Zoran came and talked with a large group of us. There was like Howard Brock, Jake Williams, Roland Wellington from Vegas, a lot of people like that. We were all there, and they said, "This is how we're going to start designing." There was even like a thing put out on their website. This is how we're going to start designing it. Okay, so what do you think when you say complex dial, right? That implies powers and traits are more complex. With complexity comes power because you already have these standard powers, and like cheap prob is good, cheap perplex is good.
Yeah.
But when you have cheap perplex and prob on one figure, that's better, right? So they start doing this in the super rare and chase and LE slots, right? So you're creating more powerful figures at a higher rarity. So and then a lot of times they're characters that people like to collect, which is unique to our game, right? People aren't playing Jace because it's Jace in Magic. They're playing Jace because he's powerful.
Because he's powerful.
Yeah,
Yes.
but in HeroClix, people are playing Hulk because he's Hulk. They're playing Spider-Man because he's Spider-Man. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So when you have, let's say, you have a Thor, or let's say Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is a great example. Popular character, very rare, very good, so that creates him being over $100 figure. So when you start saying the more powerful a figure is, because of complexity, the higher rarity he's going to be, you're just driving up secondary market price, which in turn makes a game more expensive to play competitively.
Yes and no though, because like I will take the Harley Quinn, the god chases. Most expensive chase out there right now is the Flash God of Death.
Sure.
And he is probably the least playable. Lex Luthor,
I disagree.
he's probably the least playable. You have to add on stuff to him to make him better. Now, before they did the Joker, the Haha Joker change, people were playing Lex with Haha Joker and just masterminding damage to him. And he was super playable. And he actually probably still is playable. and he's only a $25, $35 chase now. The same thing. The only reason the shredders are as expensive as they are is because they're in gravity feeds. The same thing with this new Captain Marvel. The only reason she's
it's because of the rarity. And
it's the rarity, and it's because it's so limited as well. Now,
that has to do with rarity. That's rarity. So you can get a case of the gravity feed, and you'll get pretty much a full CUR of that set, but you only get 2 super rares and a chase, maybe 2 chases. Okay, and of those 2 chases, you might not get the ones you need. You might get Claw and Shiva, which are the 2 cheapest, right? Mini and Shark are the 2 most expensive. So again, rarity and complexity drive the secondary market price higher and makes the game more expensive to be competitive. Again,
but it's not always, because we've seen other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gravity feeds that have had chases that didn't get played,
but they weren't good.
But that's my point, though, is that they finally made good figures, and it was because of that one thing. Now, if you look at other good figures, what else right now is being played super competitively? Unimind, super rare.
Sure.
You look at like the Penguins team; it's a Fast Forces figure, a super rare. Yes, It does have the Chase Green Arrow usually on it, but then it also has like the super rare Batgirl, super rare, $15. People are playing more, and what you're seeing too is you're seeing this switch over to a lot of people playing, as we just talked about before this. They want map control and we're seeing a slide more towards objects being played as well. So you're seeing this slide in the shift of, I want my map. I need to make sure that I'm playing a theme team so I get this outrageous roll. And so you're seeing a lot of budget figures make their way into the competitive play. The Avengers team, the most expensive thing on the Avengers team is obviously the Hawkeye. There's always, around when we surround this, there's always that one figure that's probably going to be $60 to $80.
It's Hawkeye. It's
Lockjaw.
No. I'm saying on the Avengers team, it's Hawkeye. It's Star Fox. Right there, you're already at $140.
Okay.
Depending on how many Giant Girls you're playing, Giant Girl by herself, if you go on eBay right now, is about $20.
Which Giant Girl?
The Fast Forces.
Is it?
Yeah, by herself. She costs almost as much as the entire starter by herself.
I'll have to check that, because when I saw her, I got her for like $12.
Even
then the other Giant Girls are like what, $8?
Yeah. So how many Fast Forces Giant Girls are on PJ's team?
I have no idea.
I just wrote about it last night. I
have no idea.
Can pull it up, but I don't want to.
Probably 4.
Probably 4. Okay.
Let's say 4.
Let's say between you and I said 20, you said 12. Let's say 15.
$15. So you're talking about $60.
That's $60. And then another 16 for 2 of the regular ones.
Okay.
Okay. So that's 76. You're at $216. And that's a budget team.
Okay. Compared to, like we talked about with Isaac winning Nationals. You broke down that team when he played at the time. And it was like, what, an $800 team?
Something like that.
Okay. So you're talking about something that is a quarter of the price of a national winning team.
Yeah, but we didn't even add Proxima Spear, ID cards, anything like that.
Okay, so we'll say half the price then.
Okay.
Still a budget team.
So for you, $400. For you, $400.
Played in one with teams that had like Mistress Death. That team right there is probably a $200 to $300 team. The most expensive thing on that team is Mjolnir.
Yeah, and I don't think that's bad. Like, I don't think, like I said, but you still have to buy this stuff. You still have to pay. Like, Mjolnir is like $50 to $80 or something like that in the secondary market. So, like, the short answer for me is, if I have to buy something that's expensive to compete, then to some degree it is pay to win. Now, I may not have to pay as much as the next person, because I may not play the most expensive stuff. Yeah, just make it work with what I have. But I do have to buy certain elements in order to compete.
Yes, but the question of pay to win, though, is, can I just pay money and win? And the answer is no. No, because we're talking. What's that?
That's not the case with anything, though.
But that's the question, though.
Any
Can
game.
I pay to win in Heroclix? No, you can't. Because you can spend $800 to $1,000 on a team and still lose because you're just bad at Heroclix.
That's true.
It's not point and click. While I can take that 1,000-point team and put it in a dozen different people's hands, and each person's going to do differently with it. I could then put a 400-point team in someone, or a $400 team in someone's hands.
But you're talking at the highest level, though, right?
I'm talking about just period. I mean, are we talking about, what are we talking about?
So like, I can go locally and play, and I can play something super cheap, CURs only. And
yeah, anybody can do that, though.
Win most events, regardless of what my opponents are playing. Like, I might lose one game out of 3.
But that's a whole different. I'm talking about high tier, because pay to win means.
Is this no? Because the average player doesn't play in high tier events. There's thousands and thousands of Heroclix players, and there's hundreds show up to Worlds. So you have to look at what events are being played. WKOs. So can I just go to WKO with a couple starter figures and some CR stuff? No, I can't. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to do well. I still have to put some kind of money into the game, even at one of the lower levels, in order to do well.
But that's for any game, though.
It's
name one game.
Magic. We talked about it earlier. You could play red weenies.
I used to play white weenies.
You can play.
You're still paying $20 for a certain card.
Sure.
Okay, so how is that any? You can play 4 of those. So how is that any different than playing the 4 giant girls?
It's not. But that's why I'm saying, at what level are you talking about? I think
if I want to go and just play white weenie, and I want to play back in the day, if I wanted to play Wrath of God, it's a $25 card. You can play 4 of them. It's $100 for that 4-pack, and my sideboard. Now again, is my white weenie deck gonna go and wreck house at the Grand Prix? No, but I still have to put money in if I want to go and actually compete at a lower level tournament. Just by playing a bunch of common goblins or burn, that you're still having to pay some money to get there.
Right. Yeah. Jacob Payne says money's always going to give an edge in a collectible game. And I agree with that. And that's kind of what I'm saying.
It is.
I'm saying, like, is it pay to win? Like, no, me throwing money at the game is not automatically going to make me win. But
that's the question: can I go out there and just buy the most expensive stuff and win? No. Not for our game. I don't think so.
On certain levels, you will. On certain levels, you will. At your local monthly OP, if you took, a Michael Love's Shredder team, you're probably going to win. You're probably going to win a lot, and you're going to be hated.
But you have to know how to pilot it, though.
But if you take it to your local WKO, there might be the 1 or 2 players that come from out of town that know how to beat it. Right? Wrong? Yes?
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's my say on the topic.
I don't think it's pay to win.
All right.
Ask Derek Stringer. I'm just saying. He took that magic mentality, showed up to Heroclix, got his behind handed to him by teams that weren't as expensive as his or elaborate as his, and he tucked and left. So I
also think there's a degree of like where like Heroclix players don't think the game should be as expensive as it is. Is like, like like you will never hear Magic players complaining about the secondary value of a deck they're playing. Ever.
No, because they understand that they by winning with certain figures or by winning with certain cards, it's only going to drive up the price on them. Us as Heroclix players, we don't understand that yet. We don't understand. I do because I played Magic.
The first thing I said to you was like, I don't even understand why this is a topic.
Because people get upset about it, because people are like, oh, you have to pay to win in Heroclix. You really don't. Like, if you like, you can play like we're talking about. You can play with budget stuff. There is certain stuff out there right now. In my opinion, one of the best combos that I'm gonna love is playing the Batgirl with Doc Ock arms, and that's not very expensive, and she can deal a buttload of damage. Vulture. It all depends on your play style too. So I mean, there's different. I mean, it all depends. The most like
Yeah, no, you're right. And I agree with you to that point. You know, like there's. I think the other part about Heroclix is that, and I mentioned this on our last episode, I think, where there's like the game's weird because there's like two groups of players. There's like one that's like, well, you know, they're very comic centric, right? It's
yes,
like, oh, well, this is what happens in the comics. This is what should happen on the board. Hulk should always win, or you know, whatever the case is. Where
yes,
and then you have this other other group of players where it's like, well, I'm just going to put together what works, you know.
yes. That's
They'll do
yes.
Blind Owl and Mr. Mixaplick to get to the Pulse Wave, the token your whole team. Sure, sounds good. It's like,
Mhm.
well, Blind Owl and Mr. Mixaplick aren't there. That's Marvel and DC. What are you doing? You know. So like we have this weird dynamic. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it still
No.
exists. And I think that's where this pay to win or like the cheese topic and like
Yeah.
you know, it's basically like you're not having fun the way I want you to have fun. That's not okay, you know.
And it's okay. And this is the thing is people need to realize too is it's okay to have an opinion.
Mhm.
It's not okay to tell someone that their opinion is wrong because it goes against what you believe or what you think.
Like we disagree on this topic, but
Absolutely.
I respect what you're saying, and there's
And
merit.
I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah.
So, though I guess the way that I look at it as if you want to play a really expensive Magic the Gathering deck, you're going to spend a couple $1,000s easily. If
I
you're
mean,
playing
depends on
chain
the format.
lands or dual lands and things like that, you're going to spend a couple $100s just in lands.
That depends on the format.
Again, yes, because they have many different formats.
Yeah, of course, but if you're talking
So,
about like standard's generally less expensive.
yeah, if you're playing, what is standard now? They're modern
Yes,
because they have Type 2, they have standard, they have.
standard is their equivalent to our modern.
Okay, so standard is what quote unquote Type 2 is,
Modern
what it
would
used to
be
be called.
Silver Age for us.
Yeah, so they're backwards, but yeah, I've looked. I did an article on it where some of their most expensive decks are a couple $1,000s because, and people question me like, there's no planeswalkers that are pushing $80 to $100, and I'm like, Luian of the Veil is still an $80 planeswalker. Jace the Mind Sculptor, the original one, I think is still like an $80. Who was it? Who was the one there? The Morg Wife. I think the Zakar. I probably mispronounced it. $100 card. It's a green card.
Yeah, it's been reprinted a bunch of times too, though.
But still, it's $100 card, and that's a whole different topic for a whole different thing. I think we talked about it last time about they're making a Marvel or a DC classic. Ugh, I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah,
what
Jacob's just a lot from Jacob. He's talking about between chases and lanterns, you drop crazy money for War of Light. Same with ID cards. And he makes a point. He says War of Light introduced chases that become must-have for the meta, which is somewhat true. There were a lot of teams without them, but when they first released, they made basically every team theme because they gave you cosmic keyword. So it's a little different,
but you're talking about a time in where there was so many heavy-handed things out then. Yeah. And I mean, you could play a Book of the Skulls, which wasn't that expensive because it was stuff you played to get, and you could wreck house with a Book of
Skulls. Was a pretty cheap. Like you could play a good Book of Skulls too. Like with that Craven Prime, which is about $20. Book of Skulls, which you had to do was show up for your favorite self events, and
that's
and
it.
You get
and
it.
Then,
you know,
who was the other one there? Brother Voodoo was another one that was very cheap, and
$20.
It was just yep. So I mean, even then, back then, I played M10 Iron Man, who was made specifically against people who had equipment, and he was only a $20 figure as well. So back then, it was a whole different animal. It was a whole, and even then, you could still have. I mean, I think the Wizkids Open team or the Rock, it was a Rock event back then. The guy who won played an animal themed team with Beast Boy. Focusing over to like this is in Methuen, Massachusetts. He played an animal theme team. It was probably like, I don't know, $200 team. And he just, I mean, back then you also had people playing Bizarro with a full gauntlet. So that's a $20 team.
Yeah.
So I mean, it all again goes, like I said, towards play style and things like that too.
I agree. I'm gonna share on our Facebook that we're live to see if anyone wants to come in and get some last second questions.
Oh, somebody was all, when I posted up, they were all like, "Yo, it's definitely pay to win." Well, you got to back that up. Tell me, like, you can't just
come in.
Salty people just being like, someone shows up and I'm playing my Great Lakes Avengers team and I'm upset about it. Which one of my guys at my local gaming store does that. He'll show up and play like Great Lakes Avengers, and I'm playing Green Lantern Corps, and it's just like, this isn't even fair, man. I'm gonna smash you with my theme team.
Yeah, I mean that happens too.
Kyle Rayner, he was a hot figure. He was an op kit prize. He was a prize just to show up. You got, and he wrecked for a while.
Yeah, he did. But I was gonna say, like, I just played locally, and my team was really expensive. It was really
super expensive.
Really freaking expensive. Venom's about a $30 figure now. I had 2 of those. I had 2 Captain Venoms, which is like $140 each.
I just want to point out, you said that Venom would never drop below $40.
That's true. I didn't think he would. But a lot of the Earth X stuff is like super cheap. Like Earth X and Battle World are really cheap.
And they play very well.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about that. And even like BTAS is still pretty cheap. So like the last few sets, the super rares have gone significantly down in value. Like the last real, although like they're not like characters that people like to collect, like the X-Men set. People love to collect X-Men. They're very popular, so those always sell out. Or like
also the traits and everything with the X-Men. That right there is probably one of the most expensive teams you could probably play with the bird.
Yeah.
You play three Wolverines and then 2 potentially on the sideline. You play a couple Cyclopses and a couple Cyclopses on the sideline, a Chase Jean Grey. Like that's a whole different ball game right there, just because of the popularity of those figures. And even like I said, we create the secondary market. When Wolverine was hot, he was a $90 figure. When he first came out, he was what, $30?
25.
And then someone won with them, and people saw how good it was.
And that was
and then it was 90, and now it's back down to 50. So it's like a weird stock market we have.
Yeah, I think it's silly that people even waited, because I think he was obviously good. For people joining, I see our viewer counts going up and down a little bit. For people that are joining, we're talking about pay to win and Heroclix, and as well as if you have any opinions on the map bans from today, you can add those in.
Throw them in. We're live. We're talking. We're taking you guys into consideration. We've already kind of gone back and forth on what we thought about the ban, on where we stand on pay to win, and things like that. So throw in your 2 cents, your comments.
And if you missed out on the beginning of the episode, this is going to go up when we're done on YouTube, and you can avoid missing out on future episodes by subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell.
Hit that button, and when we go live, you will know. We appreciate it. We have seen, I don't know, since the last couple weeks that I've been doing this, I think 2 weeks maybe. This is only the 4th episode. We have gone up, I think, almost a dozen subscriptions. So thank you to those that are subscribing. We appreciate it. We're always open for questions. You can find us on 2 Clicks from KO on the Facebook page. You can also message us there as well. You can message Aaron or myself on Facebook as well privately. If you don't want to have your name associated with your question, we can always just run that question anonymously, so there's no flack or hate spewed back onto you. But we will cover it, because I don't care.
Lord of Ty joined. David Cologne joined. Lord of Ty says, seems like a temporary fix for a gap that they didn't see when they changed the rules. Hopefully a more thorough fix is coming. Yeah, I hope so. That doesn't seem like that's what's going to be.
It's 100% what we talked about, was that it's kind of just seemed like it was a knee-jerk reaction, and we're kind of hoping that maybe they'll go back to it and they say, hey, give us a few more days. Let us look at this and maybe think of a better solution.
That is probably the worst of like 5 possible solutions. And
It is
but
like the 5 or 6 we listed. It's the worst.
The simplest from a corporate standpoint is definitely the simplest.
Yeah, just ban it. Let it go.
It's very laissez-faire, right? Like we're just gonna do that, and then David Cologne says, "What's up? Late for the party? LOL. Damn. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad to see you. We are taking any questions that you guys might have, so it doesn't have to be on the topics at hand. They're kind of discussed to whatever end we can, unless you guys want to add to them. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Now's your time. So." Do you have any? I have while I have a little bit of lag time. There is a Winamap at Hobbytown Fresno this Saturday. Registration starts at 10. First round starts at 11. We'll do Swiss rounds on the top cut. It's part of our monthly Heroclix League that we're doing. It is 300 modern limited. The only thing banned is the Rock Underground map in case anybody randomly has it. But we've been having a lot of fun. We've had 2 events so far. This is the third one. I have cumulative point build up. So at the end, I will be adding extra prizing, planning to get a trophy for the league champion and a lot of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. David Cole says, "What do you think about Phase 4 for Avengers?"
It's weird. It's interesting. What do we have in phase? What do we have in Phase 4?
I was saying they didn't.
We have a Black Widow standalone movie. We have Doctor Strange 2. We have
I'm Googling it.
Yeah, we have the second Spider-Man movie. We have a Shang-Chi standalone movie. And there was one more before that, which I thought was interesting as well.
Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 is going to get pushed with James Gunn getting back on.
Black Widow, The Eternals.
The Eternals. That's what the other one was.
Doctor Strange 2, The Hands of Shang-Chi, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Well, it's going to get pushed. Guaranteed.
Yeah, but the script, they never changed the script. It was always going to be his script.
But he's also come out and said that he is going to finish Suicide Squad before he jumps back on that.
Which is a reboot of
Don't start. Don't start. Shang-Chi stands out to me.
That's interesting.
I think it's a way that they could potentially bring the Netflix franchise over into the MCU officially. Because I think he was a Heroes for Hire and a Marvel Knight and all that and stuff, I think. So, and we already have the Defenders, quote unquote. We've also had that one little Easter egg where when Hulk was gone, they said you've lost your greatest defender, and we know that he's been a defender before. So I think they're trying to merge those worlds, and I think Shang-Chi might do that.
Yeah, I think to me the Eternals is a big one because that does potentially lead into more space stuff with the Guardians. There's a lot of speculation about like Annihilation being part of the MCU run. Shang-Chi's interesting to me. You know what? I'm really excited about Shang-Chi because I used to love like kung fu movies and stuff.
Absolutely.
And, I think they should get. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but it's a Netflix movie. It's like a Korean team that does it, and they like do some really great it's phenomenal stuff on Netflix. I have to freaking post about it when I remember the name.
People give a lot of hate to the Netflix series, like for like Iron Fist and stuff, and they had some really good fight choreography in those shows. I thought some of them were. Danny Rand, was he a whiny little punk? Yes, but some of the fight scenes were pretty good. Daredevil fight scenes, some of them are pretty good. So
I think it's The Raid that I'm thinking of. The movie's called The Raid.
I think so.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal team.
And some things that people have forgotten too is that Adam Warlock is in the MCU.
Yeah,
they just haven't said anything about him.
Well, they did kind of in Guardians.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is they introduced Adam Warlock then. she made the comment, "I'll call him Adam." So Adam Warlock is in there. They just haven't done. There is a good cluster of characters that they haven't really done anything with yet. Adam Warlock is one of those ones that could be a humongous one. He's a gem wielder. It could. I mean, once the Fantastic Four come into, that opens up.
Wielder too.
Yes, he was, and so is Nebula as well, though. So we have this weird. We're in this weird. Like, we're gonna have Endgame, and then it's just up for debate on where they can take it.
Yeah,
they could take it to the cosmos. They can integrate X-Men and Fantastic Four and stuff in it. They could just completely screw everything, and they can do House of M, and then just reset everything.
Yeah, David's making all these speculations. He says, I think in regards to Adam Warlock potentially making an appearance when Thanos dies, or could we see Galactus? There's a fan theory out there, and there's actually some too. If you look into it, as Eddie Bravo would say, if you look into it, people are speculating Galactus is actually already in the MCU.
There's speculation of a lot of things that people are already in the MCU, and there's good. I mean, you could say, yeah, they are just for certain things. So I mean, yeah, just adding the Skrulls from Captain Marvel is a whole nother layer of crazy that they could add to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
Just the more and more they add, the fact that we're getting Fantastic Four, the fact that X-Men are coming home as well. They're going to finish their Phoenix saga. It's going to be horrible. And then Kevin Feige is just going to delete all of those movies and say none of those have anything to do with the timeline.
I just want to say, see the Deadpool and Spider-Man movie.
I want to see a Deadpool and a Wolverine movie.
That's not going to happen.
I guarantee you Ryan Reynolds will continually harass Hugh Jackman until he just gets his way. He's going to pull, as David Colon will enjoy this, he's going to pull a Dave Bautista and just yell, "Give me what I want."
Speaking of Avengers and all that, look what my brother gave me for my birthday.
It's so wobble. Oh, I see it there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Should have aimed for the head.
Should aim for the head, exactly. I was super pumped.
For the head.
That's one of the best birthday presents I've gotten in a long time.
I mean, Beta Ray Bill technically is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they had the shrine to him.
Yeah. I would assume he's already a champion, but the whole timeline with Stormbreaker is bad if you go that route. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like there's so many little like goofy. I mean, the Howard the Duck is in the MCU. What's the dog there?
It's
Cosmo,
right?
Yes, I think Kevin Smith is doing it.
Something.
But Cosmo is in, which is so technically the Inhumans are, even though their show is horrible. How are you gonna make Medusa, where her only real special power is she's got long ass hair? You're gonna cut her hair. How are you going to do
CGI? But they'll CGI really badly. Lockjaw.
How are you going to do that? Her thing is to have long hair. Just crop top. Just cut that. She don't need that hair.
Any other questions?
Fix that.
Any other questions out there? I haven't seen any. What are you excited about the most out of the upcoming stuff?
Rebirth. The entire Rebirth, everything. I mean, I'm not super sold on the chases yet. I think there's a handful that are good. We've talked about this, but I'm all in on Deathstroke's Defiance team there. Some of the figures we saw today were good. Mr. Terrific was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the sculpts looked good. They look crisp. I like Rose Wilson, which means hopefully there's going to be a Ravager in the set. The Starfire that's already been the Teen Titans being able to move and then use the Teen Titans ability is brilliant. That's something they should just look into, just changing that in the X-Men team completely, just to do that, because no one ever uses it.
Here we go. Here's a question from Jake Williams. Yeah, if you had to pick only one in a fight to the death, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Well, I'm afraid of horses.
So just one?
So I would just go the one duck-sized horse.
I
I don't want any
a
horses.
horse-sized duck. One horse-sized duck.
Yes, so it's a duck. It's not a horse.
Yeah.
Or
100
100
duck-sized.
duck-sized horses. I don't want horses. I'll
I
take
think
the big duck.
I think I can knock out a duck. I'm pretty sure
I'll
I can.
take the big duck. I said this on the Shots Fired podcast. Motherfucker, a horse paralyzed Superman.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal man. What do you think a horse can do to me? I'm all set with that. Horses scare me, man. They are weird creatures. They'll just kick your head off for no reason. I'll fight a big duck. I got no problem with fighting a big duck. I'll hit him right in the old quacker. No problem with that.
I lived on a ranch for a while, and we used to
Horses scare me, man. Even a little tiny one, bite my finger off or something.
I used to work a rodeo. I used to work a shoot in a rodeo.
My cousin, she used to train horses up here in Connecticut. So I used to go there with her all the time. But I'd stay away from the horses. They scare the hell out of me, man. That and sharks, horses and sharks. I don't mess with either of those. Jaws mess me up, and Superman being paralyzed by a horse. Something about that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. So Jacob Payne says he can smash all the universes together, have master order and lord chaos, force them to fight with only one universe able to survive. Then one does, except it's a new universe. David says he's excited about Drowned, Black Manta, Giganto, Namor, and Ocean Master.
Oh, King Shark. Where's King Shark in that?
And then he says, Jacob Payne says, so you get an AVX movie and you can have Rogue steal Captain Marvel's powers.
I mean, technically, haven't they already leaked that there is going to be an Avengers versus X-Men movie? That was one of the things I thought I saw. Also, shout out to Jacob Payne. Thank you for being here. Yes. He's got he's hosting, I think, in Independence, Missouri on April 6th. He's hosting their state championship there at Astro City, I believe is the name of the gaming store. So shout out to him. We have also this Saturday, the 23rd, we have a Wizkids Open at the Old Geekery in Astoria, New York. It is a sealed one. Have some fun. Go see Nancy.
David says he's going to send you the YouTube link. Oh, so to answer your question, yes, he'll send you the YouTube. All right, I think that's going to wrap us. So go ahead and wrap it, Aries. This is your show.
It's like a mini-sode. It's like the in-between between those. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, check us out on YouTube. 2 clicks from KO with an X, or you can check us out on Facebook. 2 clicks from KO with the CKS. A little different there, but it's all right. Same place. If you have questions, you can send them to the Facebook page. You can send them to Aaron. You can send them to me. If you want to be anonymous, just say, hey, I want this to be anonymous. Please don't say my name with this question. We will answer any and all questions that have to do with Heroclix, pop culture, art. This is just one of those fun live things we want to do and want to give back to the community and have open conversation with everyone. I think today was outstanding. I think this was a great back and forth. Thank you for joining me, Aaron. I know you were very passionate today about the map situation.
I was fired up.
Fired up is I believe we were told, hey, if you're going to do this, you need to take out a lot of the F words, being all of the F words. So there was a lot of fire. My phone went from like having no messages on Facebook to having like 6, and it was Aaron in 4 different chats, just
being a crybaby,
dropping F-bombs about this. So be smart, Wizkids. Think about it first, please. Go back. Let's get it right. As always, we thank you for your comments. We thank you for your feedback. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. So as always, may all your roles be criticals.
Like and subscribe.
Hammer it.
Peace out, guys. Thanks.